Oh, yeah, it's another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. Jason Bristol, Jeremy Booth joining us remotely. That's okay. We still get the full Jeremy Booth experience. Yeah, and a remote, yes. For those, pretty much everybody watches us on YouTube now. Lot of different things we can hit, Jeremy. I think first, we have to hit what the newest member of the Texas Rangers had to say. Joc Pederson, signing with Texas, says there's a lot of things lining up for us to go on a nice run. In the playoffs, played the Astros a couple times in the World Series. They put together a nice little run, and it's coming to an end. So it's time for us to take over the West. So like I said, there's a lot of things that are going in the right direction for the Rangers to be on top of this division. I would argue he's not necessarily wrong, but it's interesting that he would just come out and say that. But I think that's pretty much been Joc Pederson's MO for the past handful of years.
You know, I scouted Joc in high school, obviously. It's funny, I wrote a report on Joc, and the late Bruce Side, the West Coast cross-checker at the time was Corey Rodriguez. He did not like Joc Pederson one bit. I will say this now, Corey Rodriguez has been very difficult to deal with as a general rule in baseball for a lot of people, okay? Nothing personal for me. I've known him a long time. I don't get sometimes what the approach he has, but he's an interesting cat. And he didn't like Joc Pederson. So Bruce sent me in to go see him, amongst other guys that he's happened to send in. And I'd seen Joc in the summer, like everybody else, year before, and turns out he's a NorCal baseball alum. Anyway, this guy lit me up. I put him in the second round, put a 59 on him or something like that. You might actually have the report somewhere. Bruce called me like, what do you mean? What do you mean he's 59? What do you mean? You like this guy? We second rounder? You really take him there? The area scout was Justin McCray. Did Justin tell you about him? Did Justin talk to you? I was like, Bruce, no. I had no idea the backstory. All I knew was that this dude could play. And so I go in to see Joc work out before the game, and he's working out in Palo Alto High School. I think that's where he went. Palo Alto High School is across from Stanford. It's me, it's Rick Wilson, Jeff Malinoff, I think, was there at the time. He was a national guy for Rick. And we go in, and Joc's, is that it? He's like, is that it? That's all you guys are coming? That's all? Okay. And then he starts going off, right? Has a great BP. We go get some lunch, go watch him play. He's always been that way. He's never been afraid to say what's on his mind. He's never been afraid to perform. He's not afraid of the bright lights. And then with the Houston Astros, he has two postseason experiences at least that come to mind. That's the 2017 club, which is an infamous club in the history of the game. And then he's got the Braves, beating them in 21, right? So, man, he's going to come in. He's going to go to Texas Rangers. He's going to play in a great ballpark in a great city, Globe Life Park. I'm obviously partial to Globe Life, and it's going to be kind of an epic experience. So, yeah, he's going to come in and start talking about the Astros in the same state. He's got his boy Corey Seager playing short. He's got Marcus Semien from the Bay playing second. Like he's got Donnie Ecker from the Bay, who's their offensive coordinator. He's right at home. And it's going to be an interesting spot for him to see what he does. And I have absolutely no issue whatsoever with Joc Pederson coming in and banging on the Astros. And I think it might be a little bit early, for that, right? But I wouldn't expect anything less from Joc and the crew in Dallas, in Arlington.
2 years, $37 million reportedly. Hey, that's cheaper than Jose Abreu.
It's the cost of doing business. And yeah, Jose Abreu is all that's missing from the Jose Abreu contract is a gun and a mask by Jose Abreu. Okay. So,
Pederson had a good year, 275, 23 homers, 64 runs driven in, an OPS of 908.
I had no problem with Joc.
The Astros would take that in their outfield.
Except he wouldn't come play here. You're going to do this, and you beat him twice. It's probably the one spot you won't go to. It's actually reminiscent of Ken Griffey Jr., clearly a different player. Don't let me lose their minds, okay? Especially some people who like to troll, which I think is great. But don't lose your minds. But Ken Griffey Jr. said, if the New York Yankees offer me a contract, the only ones that offer me a place to play, I'd retire. And I kind of get that same feeling from Joc in Houston. So I'm not putting words in his mouth, just a feeling I got, and on they go.
I remember his father, Stu Peterson, because growing up in Syracuse, New York, Stu Peterson was a bit of a fan favorite at MacArthur Stadium in Syracuse when he came to the plate. Stu.
Is that the
And he
Blue
was,
Jays organization
yeah, that was the Blue Jays organization,
at the
which,
time?
which was the other thing we needed to talk about. Jeremy has a new addition to his X bio. It reads Blue Jays senior advisor, comma, draft. Jeremy, I mean, listen, I kind of had an idea that this may happen or something like this could happen. But could you describe what you are going to be doing for the Toronto Blue Jays? And I guess you can't come work a Blue Jays Astros series for us anymore.
Yeah, I don't think, in today's day and age, I think this is a nice way of saying I'm going to advise or consult or help whichever way that Mark Tremita needs me to do so. For me, it accomplishes two things, which is really, we've had a lot of conversation about this. Number one, it allows me to see if I want to do this again. Really. Number two, it's not a big commitment on Tram's side as he becomes a scouting director and a pretty interesting time for the Blue Jays, right? The Jays are very involved and active with our stuff, the series. They use it. It's obviously got a interesting place in the game now. And Tram's my guy, and he's not my guy, like any different than some of the other guys are. Bobby Heck, and there's some other guys out there who have been mentors, and Tram's no different though, And if there's anything I can do to help him, I will say this: when Tram was director with the Mets, a lot of people don't know this, but I went out and I saw some guys when I was doing the transition stuff, and I don't know, 30, 25, 30 guys, not anything that was overblown. It was more like he asked me who I liked. I told him they matched up. If you can get to it, go do this, right? So I did. And one of them was David Peterson. And so it was like it worked out in different ways where I was able to help give him different looks. There was a Pompey kid out of Kentucky, and I remember watching Daniel Espino throw at a workout in Georgia, and they're in the draft, and Tram calls me and he asked me about 3 players before they start day 2, and just call me. And so it's kind of been that way. And I'm in a unique position, Jason, with what we do. I can't hide information. I'm not going to. I can't. I have to be able to still work with all the guys that ask questions, and it's about players, and everybody knows that I'll be impartial. But as far as assisting with my opinion and stuff that they may need, if Tram has a guy he needs or some stuff he wants to go see, I'll do that, and that's how it'll work.
Off the top of my head, I would think the Blue Jays and the Guardians probably have more of your players, the ones that you've worked with through the New Balance Future Stars series. I would imagine those two teams probably have the most alumni
The
in your.
Guardians at one point had 17.
Wow, I didn't know it was that
Yeah.
many.
Paul Gillespie, Scott Barnsby first, PG, runs the whole thing now. Brad Grant. The Guardians seem to have an affinity for what we do. And there's always been a very good relationship. Scott Barnsby is one of the best human beings on the planet for me. He's kind of he's doing stuff with family. He kind of been a director for a while. He hasn't been for a couple of years now. He steps back and, but yeah, man, they got a lot. And the Jays now have, Desan Brown, and they've got Adam Macko, and they've got
Tiedemann.
Ricky gets back, he's in the big leagues, and Macko comes back, and he's been a little hurt, but Adam comes back, he's gonna be in the big leagues, and here's Macko's an interesting story. Ricky is too. I saw Macko in Kamloops pitching for Vauxhall in a Canadian tournament, and he was 82-84 with a breaking ball, and he just had some shape, and he got it over. He threw a lot of strikes, and I was like, this guy's gonna throw harder. I would never have told you it was 98. And as we learn, velocity is the easiest thing to teach, right? So as we learn, that's what we got. But Macko's turned into a reliever. big league reliever, and then Desan Brown is the ultimate Austin Jackson comp, who's had some shortened windows, and he's an alumni for a few years. I just saw Desan in Canada on a special assignment mission, and his family. So, and Irv Carter over there as well. So, I mean, we've got some guys, man. We've got some guys over there in that system. And it's going to be fun to track it and have some feedback with them if required.
Certainly, your work with your Canadian partner programs, the Blue Jays. Listen, I think they take a keen interest in Canadian players for obvious reasons. So it's just a very unique situation. And congratulations. Are congratulations in order?
What I would say is it's definitely a let's see how it goes. I'm glad to be able to help Tram in whatever way is needed, like I said. And I know that sounds very generic, but that's really what it is. I mean, it's the start of the year. I got a lot on my plate ahead of time. I got some, let's call it some business to close up that's going to need my attention. I don't mind saying that at this point. There's some stuff here in Houston that's going to require some aggressive attention here in the next couple of days and potentially weeks. And our college stuff starts in Dallas, and we're already back in the amateur side, just finishing it. So there's a lot on the Future Star Series side that is feeding other areas of the game, right? And so that's primary, and then again, whatever I can do to advise or help Tram players and my opinions and stuff like that, I'll do.
All right. We'll now take a look at viewer comments from our last podcast. A lot of viewer comments. I'm just going to stick with the ones on YouTube, Jeremy, because
Okay.
the ones on X, someone didn't particularly believe that you know what you're talking about. But hey, we've encountered that before. So
There's a lot of things when I looked at that guy's thing that guy's for 5 seconds that he fit such a profile, right? It was the consummate head up my wazoo, yeller and screamer, puff my chest out. So
yeah. Anyways, Rob on YouTube says Dana Brown played this perfectly. 1 year ago, Dana said the Astros wanted to extend and make Altuve and Bregman Astros for life. The media asked both players, and they both said, I want to play here. I love Houston. I love the fans. Altuve and Bregman has the same agent. Altuve told Boris to get it done with the Astros, and it happened. It appears Bregman doesn't love Houston or the fans as much as he said he did. Nice job, Dana Brown and Astros. Also, rest in peace, Ricky Henderson. Someone said precisely, Boris ultimately is just a sports agent and is obligated to abide by what his clients tell him to do. Altuve told, hold on, let me get the gallery. Let me get the dual cameras here. Precisely. Boris ultimately is just a sports agent and is obligated to abide by what his clients tell him to do. Altuve told him to get a deal done with the Astros, which he did, and Bregman drank too much of the Boris Kool-Aid. It is a bit disappointing, Brian says, that Bregman chose to walk away despite more than a fair offer. However, he has every right to go for what he wants, so I'm not going to hate him for it, but I'm also not cheering for him to get his money. I think he made a bad choice. Will end up playing elsewhere for likely the same amount of money. Not a good look. More comments. I don't know the name, but sorry for your loss, Mr. Booth. Ricky will live on in our memories. Bregman is delusional, Mario says. He is not worth a $200 million contract at all. I believe he's worth a 5-year contract for $25 million per, no more.
I can't, I honestly, any comments, I'll interject this. Any comments on the spectrum, I could accept. I could accept 5 at 125, at 25. I could do that, 5 at 125. I could also accept 6 and 30 and 180, right? I think anything above 180 is a little bit much for me, but I could see 6 and 30, 6 and 180. So anyway, go ahead. I'd have no issue with any of this stuff.
This other person, Get Money Something, says, can we just mentally know any Boris guy is sold to the highest bidder and get over that so we stop getting attached?
How do we not know that by now?
Exactly.
I don't understand.
And then someone, Rob says, question, how about this scenario? Presley and McCullers for George Springer.
I don't know if the Blue Jays do it, but I think that's something the Astros would do. And I don't know that George Springer would do it, frankly.
Yeah.
I think George was nothing against the fans. George was mistreated here and doesn't trust front office. And now that I've gotten to
Different front
see,
office,
no,
different
it's
front office.
not. The guy, no, it's not because it's different. Dana, it's not Dana. I mean, it's Dana versus Jeff Luno and different people. But ultimately, as I have had my experiences there now, but really behind the curtain, okay, the person that's pulling those strings wasn't even Luno. So as far as I'm concerned, and nobody knows that here. So I will say it. The person that was pulling those strings, all the issues when it came to how people were treated and wants were not even. Jeff was maybe cut from the same cloth. I'll say that, right? Came from somebody else, and that guy's still here. So as far as I'm concerned, and I don't mind saying that because I've kind of had enough of it at this point. So it's just leave it there.
Also, John Heyman reporting during a recent live stream appearance, he identified the Tigers and Blue Jays.
Uh-oh.
I guess we can't talk about this, can we?
No, you can.
Okay. The most likely to land Bregman. The Tigers, in particular, have been linked to Bregman for some time. I don't know, maybe because I linked them. No, I'm kidding. That was too obvious. But
No, hang on. They listen to us and you know it. Okay. They listen to us and you know it. I mean, there's guys that follow and pay attention. A lot of love to John Morosi, for example. He follows us, he pays attention, he asks questions when he sees them. He's not afraid to report what he hears, right? And then you've got guys like that who see us everywhere, who listen and decide to go ahead and take what you put out there. You were the first person to put out the Tigers. Nobody else will say
oh,
it.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
You're the first person I heard.
Okay.
How's that? How's that? Both those places make sense to fit. The Yankees I've heard are so far out they couldn't be bought to get back in. Like that couldn't pay them. That's just what I heard. And then as far as the Mets are concerned, and it doesn't mean it's true. As far as the Mets are concerned, the Mets would be a fit. But Toronto would be a fit, and I don't know if Alex would go there. It's up to Alex, but Toronto would be a fit. And then of course Detroit's got AJ, right? Boston seems to have kind of fallen off a little bit, right? And I think that's Breslow and that's the money. Craig was not a big fan of.
Yeah, that was one of the more recent reports that while Alex Cora and others were on board, that Breslow and others were not,
We're
or
not. Yeah,
Breslow wasn't.
Breslow wasn't, and so that's an internal deal, and doesn't look like Alex Bregman's going to be a Red Sox. But I always thought he fit in Yankee Stadium. With that club, they don't want anything to do with it. So maybe it's Toronto. I can also definitely see him. I can definitely see him playing in Detroit. I think that's actually the more it's gotten there, the more I can envision him in that uniform.
So, what do you have coming up in terms of the New Balance Future Stars Series events? What's on the docket? What is most pressing right now when it comes to the product on the field? JUCO? Is it JUCO time for you?
So first of all, I do want to say this. I called you. We spoke earlier today. Um, I'm going to say this because it's very relevant in the proceedings in the world. This is year 10 of the New Balance Baseball Future Star Series. The first events were in
That you get a
2016.
congratulations for year
Thank you.
10.
2016 was the first series of combines and development and evaluation events. 17 was the first really, really large events. But, in 2015, of course, was when Program 15 started with Dylan Thomas and, McElroy and Rollins and Rogers and Fulencheck and Alex Jackson and all those guys. So, that's when that was going. Leon Bird, some local guys around. But it turned into something in 16 that was pretty cool. And I look up, and after all the stuff we dealt with, if you'll indulge me for 2 seconds, 5 hurricanes, intellectual property theft, not once, but twice, a pandemic, major league stadium cancellations, a constructive eviction from a flood at a complex, right? Um, 2 freezes. Miss anything? That's about it. I mean, that's enough. That's enough, right? And in that time, we've
The beauty of a small business.
developed a model for scouting and evaluation. We've been very fortunate to have Neil Brooks and New Balance Baseball as a partner. I could not ask, and I'll say this as I start another contract with them effectively yesterday. Um, I could not ask for a better company to sponsor and be part of and support. I could not ask for a better brand that fits me personally, and better people on both sides, whether it's Neil, whether it's, Michael Bird and the sales guys, it's JJ Ethel. I mean, it's just been better people across the board. Mike Schenbeck, it's been a decade. It's been an absolute decade. And so I never thought, I never looked 10 years out in the future, and in that time, man, we were the first game in a major league stadium in a pandemic. We've had over 100 guys now as part of the draft. 15% of the draft is us. We've had hundreds of millions of dollars in signing bonuses come through. We've done a world combine. We're international in a pandemic. We've done lots of things that no one else has ever done. And I saw somebody take credit for something I wrote in his bio, and I'm going to leave it alone because this guy is an interesting cat, but I saw him do it. And I left it there because what I realized is that when we started doing this, it was never about me or anything else. It was always about the game, And if people are going to go ahead and get and take from it, and they're going to improve on it, or they're going to take from it and use it, and it spreads, then it's done its job. It's done its job. It can't be something that is just part of this bubble. And it's interesting to become part of the fabric of the game. I will say that. I don't think I'm overstating that. I know in some conversations that have happened recently around the game, guys on the advisory board have stood up and said so. They've said it's part of the fabric of the game. This is what it is. This is who JB is. This is who the players are. This is where we go to get our real information. And I see stuff with other competitors, 10,000 tournaments in a year. Man, good luck. Go have them. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with that. Let me help the game itself. That's not helping the game. That's helping you. So, when I look at that, I'm proud of everybody that's been here. I made some phone calls and thanked some guys today that were here from the beginning. I talked to Butch. I called Butch. I thanked him. I talked to Adam Chakowski. I called Adam Chakowski. I thanked him. I talked to Tom O'Hara. I called Tom. I thanked him. And some of the other guys. It was this is year 10. So I'm very excited about that.
That's very cool, man. Here's another thing you left off your list: a number 2 overall draft pick.
Are we referring to a Dylan Cruz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A number 2 overall draft pick.
Bob Reichman and the Orlando Scorpions and Matt Gerber, who's no longer with them. Even Brian Martinez out there who does some stuff with Canes baseball now and really is the TNXL Ducks. Those guys have been just a pipeline for me, when it comes to who I need to see. Like Zach Veen, before anybody knew who Zach Veen was. Jackson Neza, who's in the Astros system. Gerber screaming, you got to take this guy. This guy is a dude. You got to take this guy. Chase Brewster with the sticks. Tim Kent's, man, called me up and said, you got to come see this dude because he can't get any love anywhere. You got to come see him. Ricky Tiedemann, they get on the phone, Andy Shaw and Robbie Corsaro and Ben Herrera out there in SoCal. You got to take Ricky Tiedemann, man. He's getting buried in the area. Justin Lang, Gavin Wright. Like, I seem to be the guy that people know will see it. I'll see it. I'll see the athleticism. I'll see the upside. I'll see the projection. I'll see the makeup and where they fit. And I'm so honored by that. I'm honored that guys trust me with those type of players. Dylan was always obvious. You know what separates Dylan Cruz? Not the ability. The adjustability, the instincts, and the human being. That's what separates Dylan Cruz. And when it comes to Tommy Troy, another one that was overlooked until that same event in 2019, or Petey Halpin, I'll take him. Kyron Paris, take him. I'll take those guys. Let's go. Give me those guys. Silas Ardoin. Wait till Silas Ardoin shows up in Baltimore. So it's that's type of stuff's been a lot of fun, and I'm so thankful for the guys that have helped do that. To help us get here. And it's an honor to have at one time been not treated real well, I'd say, in the game in a certain place and certain by a couple people, and have those people come back around and apologize and tell me that they wish they could have that to do all over again. I'm actually pretty thankful for it as I see what 2025 has in store.
All right, so 10 years. Program 15 New Balance Future Stars Series. What an accomplishment. Thank you for allowing us to get some insight on what you go through day to day.
That's only a piece of it, and you know it. Now, as far as what's coming up, we've got some combines, some regional stuff. Just finished our first Instructs. It was a great event. Great opportunity to get some guys better. Very proud of the staff and proud of the players. And then the Junior College Showdown is scheduled as of today for 19th to 21st. It's right behind Fan Fest, and there's a couple other things in the middle that we're trying to work around logistically, but that's where it's at.
And I think we should end with this. I was talking about Joc Pederson, Dad Stu Peterson spent parts of 6 seasons in Syracuse, in
Wow.
AAA, huh?
Wow.
I'm sorry, parts of 5 seasons. That's 88, 89, 90, 91, 92.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. And before that, spent parts of 4 seasons in Albuquerque. So he is your 4A guy, right? But man, put up numbers. Obviously was well liked and well respected because you don't last that long in AAA if teams don't think that you have or
Not
bring some
9
value.
years in AAA.
Uh, yeah, 9. You are exactly right. 9 seasons in AAA.
Is that a record?
Maybe a modern day record. That's a good question. We should look that up.
That's impressive. AAA baseball players are some of the most miserable
I
human
know.
beings on the planet. And it's 9 years in AAA. Man, more power to him. No wonder Jock is coming out with swagger. Are you serious? Dad's got 9 years in AAA. Of course.
Man, I didn't even think of that. I mean, certainly back in the days of the old Pacific Coast League, Hollywood Stars in the 50s and things like that, guys, it was not uncommon for guys to spend a long time in that AAA level. But yeah, that's that. Mm. There is a pitcher who George can't remember his name. He might have
Costanza?
had a long 9, huh?
Costanza?
No, not Costanza.
Oh,
George Brunet, was that his name?
I don't know, man. You're the historian when it comes to that stuff. You know more about minor league baseball than anybody I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. I've lost a bit, but there was a guy, George Brunet. Here he is, right here. Spent 11 seasons in AAA.
So wait a minute, you've lost a little bit, but you nailed the one guy that nobody else has ever heard of. It's been 11 years. All right.
The reason I know is because he pitched for Houston, the Buffs. Actually, the Astros. I'm sorry, he was with the Astros in '62, first season. Anyhow, all right, Jeremy. Congratulations on 10 years, and here's to 10 more. Yep.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
going to do it for Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. We love reading your comments, so continue leaving them.
Wait. You love reading the comments. I love hearing about them and talking about them. And
That's
to the
true.
person,
That's true. Although sometimes you cannot ignore them when they're attached to you. You're tagged. Although I'm sure you don't spend too much time on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
so let me say this
Hold on. Let me get you. Again, I don't. I have you on speaker view. So yeah.
you
Yeah.
let me say this to you as well. Whoever the person was that wished me well, and Ricky, understand that I'm not, I appreciate that. But Ricky Henderson is one of the few people everybody can smile about. He really he was part of the fabric of life for us for so many. And he's Jason, you told me earlier he was a legend. I mean, it's what he is, a legend. So I will say this, we've talked to there's arrangements. Funny story, we don't know for sure, but my dad called Stu when all this stuff was going out about this fake funeral stuff. And the next day, Alexis put a statement out that says this isn't happening. We don't know where that's coming from. My thinking is it's going to be this is my guess, a very private celebration of life after, sometime in the very, very, very near future. I will attend. I will be grateful and honored to attend. And I'll be very happy to be able to say goodbye. But Ricky was so infectious. It's not really goodbye. It's see you again.
Yeah, I just pulled this up. The East Bay Times. Ricky Henderson's daughter addresses reports of false funeral service. So, sad that people have to interject themselves like that. But anyhow, all right, everybody, that's going to do it for another Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. Till next time, I'm Jason. He's Jeremy. And again, appreciate all your comments, concerns, questions, everything. We read them. We look at them. At least one half of us does. So keep leaving them. And until next time, have a great week.